Hi. Today I'll be discussing the relative difference between patriotism and nationalism. Can a communist be patriotic? First I shall read this quote from Mao Zedong, which sums up my feelings on it quite well. Can a communist who is an internationalist at the same time be a patriot? We hold that he not only can be, but must be. The specific content of patriotism is determined by historical conditions. There is the patriotism of the Japanese aggressors and of Hitler, and there is our patriotism. Communists must resolutely oppose the patriotism of the Japanese aggressors and of Hitler. So, I'll go into that in more detail. Patriotism can be an inspirational feeling and a motivational in a revolutionary context. To be patriotic is to love your country and the people in that country and to want what's best for them. To be revolutionary is willing to take the steps in order to achieve this. A revolutionary attitude is a progressive force. As communists, we see the hardship faced by our countrymen and the damage being done to our country's environment by an exploitative economic system. We see the responsibility of such damage as being in the hands of a small group of corrupt businessmen and bankers and their lackeys, the politicians who tap into the common fears and prejudice, the ignorance and the most reactionary tendencies in the masses in order to entrench themselves and protect this system. One such reactionary tendency is nationalism. In developed and nominally independent countries, nationalism is not a progressive force but a conservative force. It is not revolutionary, it is reactionary. It seeks to maintain the status quo, the existing hierarchy. It looks to the past, to a history of xenophobia, of imperialism and jingoism for inspiration. It seeks to maintain a corrupt culture on the basis of religion or xenophobia, and this of course can lead to prejudice or alienation in the face of a globalized multicultural society. Though they reject this, it is not in a revolutionary sense but in a conservative sense. It offers metaphysical solutions to material problems, an emotional response to an ever-changing physical world, and thus offers no real solution at all. A flag will not feed the poor, build schools or hospitals, or give the individual more rights, for nationalism demands that we submit ourselves to the service of the national culture, the national hierarchy. It offers us not class consciousness, but collaboration, and collaboration with the bourgeois class means submission to the whims of the free market. At best, it parades the fruits of our labour before us, in the form of the military, the royalty, perhaps the church. If one questions this hierarchy, then one is accused of being unpatriotic against the national culture or the national idea. As communists, we reject the chauvinism of old nationalism, the desire to repress the progressive elements of society, and we reject the idea that the good old days ever existed. We disdain to conceal our views. We reject the inherent sexism, homophobia, and ethnic chauvinism and prejudice towards change found in old nationalism, in conservative nationalism. We direct our patriotism towards not old ideas or old cultures, but towards that which truly makes our nation great, the working people, and we are fueled by our desire to emancipate ourselves from old ideas and old culture. Thus patriotism can be considered revolutionary. We seek to also sever our nation's ties from the forces of imperialism and seek an independent past. This is not to say that we completely reject all aspects of nation. We support enthusiastically a nation's right to independence and self-determination, to liberate an oppressed race or nationality from an oppressive state and establish a new national identity is a revolutionary cause. It is in this sense that we may consider nationalism to be revolutionary, because it is progressive and not conservative, because it looks to the future and not the past for inspiration, because it seeks to overthrow the existing social order and not maintain it. We should therefore support revolutionary nationalism in the oppressed nations and their right to self-determination. We should stand in solidarity with all oppressed revolutionary people and recognise that their struggle is our own. In this sense, we must become internationalist. What are your thoughts on patriotism and nationalism? Send them in.